We're here with Eddie, gamed in Provo, and he just got first place tonight with his heroes, and he's gonna be showing his deck list to us. So let's go into that.
Yeah. So we were playing heroes tonight. When XO played against a couple different matchups. One was, I guess it was Borreload Savage Turbo.
Hand trap?
Hand trap, I guess.
Something like that.
Something like that. Next we played against Cyber Dragons. It wasn't like too much of a bad matchup in all honesty. I just knew how to play the game. And then we played against Dogmatica Invoked Eldritch. You know, one of the higher tier decks.
Yes, it is.
It was pretty harder than the other ones, but it was a good game, so that we ended up taking it.
Right on.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here.
All right, so we're just gonna go straight into the profile. So we're running 3 Stratos. He's your end all be all, best hero monster in the game. I love him. He lets you search for any hero monster, or he lets you pop spells or traps up to the amount of other heroes you control. So they're all non-targeting, so your opponent has to like freak out for a little bit before they find out what they're gonna try to do if they run heavy back row.
For sure.
Anybody needed a dragoon?
You run 1 Shadow Mist. Well, for me, I run 1 Shadow Mist just because I've never actually been a fan of like running 2 Shadow Mist. And I think, in all honesty, like 1 is enough. Like if you hit the 1, you're always going to see it every game, and you're never really going to run into a situation where you're going to need the 2nd. But this is just a personal preference kind of thing.
It is really searchable as well. So
yeah,
that's
we
cool.
play 1 Liquid Soldier because he is your draw engine in the deck. He lets you special summon a hero monster from your graveyard if you normal summon him, and if he's sent to the graveyard or banished for a fusion monster, then you can just draw cards. You draw 2, discard 1. He's just a great card.
Pretty good.
Solid soldier. I'm really on the fence about him all the time. I really am, but he is basically your better starter if you already have Stratos in hand.
Right.
So you can normal summon him, and then you can special summon a hero from your hand onto the field. And if he's sent to the graveyard by a spell effect, he can target a hero monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense mode, which is not bad. He can make your deck extend a little bit farther, but personally I have mixed feelings about him. And then for the last of the elemental heroes, you have Honest Neos because you want to hit for game. You really want to hit for game. You want to put the words damage step into. You want to make your opponent just scared.
You want to make your opponent fear the damage.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why you run them. Next we run 3 Vision Hero Ferris because Ferris is your best. Apart from Stratos, Ferris is your best bet in extending or creating plays. Yep. He is a 2-card combo, is just so good.
Ferris and Stratos, it is full combo there already.
Exactly. You run 2 Increase because Increase in the deck, he is what you set off of Ferris. He can tribute one of your hero monsters to special summon himself, and he can special summon a hero or a vision hero monster from your deck, which is really good because, like, let's say your opponent's trying to like get rid of your board presence during the main phase. You can just use this effect, tribute one of your heroes.
And that's a quick effect, right?
It is a quick effect because
that is really good.
He is treated as a continuous trap, so it is, yeah.
Your opponent can lose target as well, so
It can.
that's really good.
And then you run 2 Vision Hero Vion. I mean, there's just standard stuff. Like, you run 2 Increase and you run 2 Vion because you don't want to draw into the 3rd one, and you don't want to run into a situation where you don't see any of them. So it's just kind of like, he's just good. He lets you dump from the deck, and he lets you search for Polymerization, and it's just really good. Next, we're moving on to the Destiny heroes. So we're running 2 malicious because he's so good. You have to.
Why not 3?
Don't do this to me, man. Don't do that to me. Malicious at 2 because you have to.
Yeah.
But he's really good. He's just
Definitely.
really good. He's a really good extender. I run 1 Destiny Hero Decider because you run into situations where you have to fusion summon a monster, and sometimes you want to go in for game, and he is part of that combo that makes it so that your opponent loses in time, and he makes sure that if your opponent tries to burn you in time, he says no. He just makes the effect damage 0. He returns back to your hand. When he's summoned, he can add a hero monster back to your hand from the graveyard, and your opponent actually has to stop that at the very beginning of that effect, because by the time it hits the end phase, that effect is already resolved. So you just kind of have to hope for the best. If your opponent doesn't play, well, I mean, they will, but if they don't play monsters that don't have levels, and they just play monsters with levels, level 6 or higher monsters can't attack him, so it's really good.
Right.
You run 1 Destiny Hero Plasma because Plasma, you love having a skill drain. You love
Definitely.
having a skill drain on board, and it's so good. In this format, I don't think he's like the best ever, but he is still a really good target for Fusion Destiny, for any of your other hero effects, and if you really need it, he will just be there. He can just tell all of your opponent's monsters no, and he can equip one of your opponent's monsters to him, so if you have a problem monster, well, he takes care of it. Then we run to evil heroes. So we run 1 evil hero Desta Gold because this card is so good. This card is so good.
It is.
What this card does, you discard it, you add Dark Fusion or a card
Dark
that
Calling?
lists Dark Fusion in its text, basically Dark Calling. And this just lets you get out your big boy that you will see later on in this video. And unlike other hero players, we run more evil heroes. We run evil hero Sinister Necrom and evil hero Malicious Edge.
1 of each?
1 of each.
Okay,
The
okay.
reason why is because he is your extender, and he actually can either help you push for games that you wouldn't be able to normally win with this deck, or he becomes another target for Fusion Destiny. I mean, not Fusion Destiny, Dark Calling. Because he is an evil hero monster, he is also a level 5 or higher monster, so he fulfills either or requirements.
Okay.
So you can activate Dark Calling, banish your Dusted Gold. If you have Malicious Edge either in your hand or in your graveyard, you banish him for either cost, and it's just really good.
That's awesome.
Not a lot of people run it. You kind of have, or for me, I run it because I like it. I like the synergy, and I like extending past a big rock. I like extending past a big rock.
Yeah.
And then you run 2 Ash because you have to. It's Ash is just so good.
It's the format right now.
It's the format. Would I run 3? Yes. Would I cut a card out in this deck for it? Yes. But we don't have a 3rd Ash, so
Okay.
it is what it is. Next,
Ooh,
the spells. Hate this
so
card.
good.
I
So
hate
good.
this
Come on,
card.
it's good.
It's so good, but on a personal level, I hate this card. But Fusion Destiny is also a 1 card combo starter. It lets you fusion summon into 2 of your Destiny hero targets that I run in this deck. It's just really good. You can send out Malicious, you can send out Decider, you can send out Plasma, you can send out like any dark monster, depending on what you make. But it's just really good. It's just really, really good.
It just locks you into Dark Heroes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It does in fact lock you into Dark Heroes, and the monster you summon off of it is destroyed at the end of the next turn. But you're never going to run into that issue because you're always going to get rid of it and then just bring it back.
Right on.
3 mass change because you love masked heroes, and you love situations where your opponent targets your heroes but you're like, wait, how about no? It's just really good.
It is really good.
One poly, it's just you have to run it. You have to run it because of Ion and because it gets you into your other plays that you want to see later on.
Would you run more than one poly?
Honestly, I've thought about it for a couple of. I've thought about it for like a hot second, but I think I would still keep poly at one just because it's like you don't want to draw into it.
Right.
And if you draw into it, it's only in a situation where you're ever going to actually use it.
Okay.
Next, we run one Miracle Fusion.
Definitely.
Because you run Sunrise in the deck. Because you run Sunrise, you search this, you chain block a lot of things that your opponent would normally hit.
It is an awesome card.
It's just so cool, especially since it's an ulti.
Oh yeah. The ulti.
You run one Dark Calling because you do run a Dusted Gold, and we do run the expensive Sinister, or the expensive Malicious Bane in this deck. We run 2 Super Polymerization. So,
Dude.
I have had this card in my deck way before this format started, but it's so fun. It's
so good, this format.
It's such a good card. I really love it because it helps you in a situation where you're staring down just a straight Dragoon. Like if your opponent summons Dragoon by Anaconda's effect, or is just like
Or Borload Savage Dragon.
Warlord Savage Dragon and stuff like that. It's just a hard, hey, guess what? I get to play now.
Yeah. No response.
And especially in a hero deck, this is better in the main deck than in anything else, just because you're in your battle phase, you're attacking, because you run a ton of like cards that fuse into hero monsters. You can just use your own to like just keep hitting your opponent during the battle phase. You avoid Nibiru that way, and it's just so good. It's just really good. We run 2 E-Call.
2.
I would run a 3rd, but we want to make this card or this deck a 40 card deck. I don't want to like make it any bigger than it is.
Okay.
But I think with better testing and taking out some other cards that I probably should take out, this could go to 3. But it's so good. You just search an elemental hero monster, and it's not even the once per turn, so if your opponent ashes this, they're playing the game wrong. They're playing the game wrong, and they're playing against this deck wrong.
Just how you never ash. No.
Exactly.
A hero lives.
A hero lives. Normally, you like to see this turn 1, or whenever you don't control a monster, or whenever you want to bait your opponent out for any negates. You have to half your life, which kind of sucks. Please, Konami, bring this card to 1 or to 3. Bring this card to 3.
1.
No, let's bring this card to 3, please.
Okay. The cost's pretty high, and the conditions to activate is hard.
Yeah, you have to control no face-up monsters, which is kind of in this format. But you just special summon a level 4 or lower elemental hero from your deck. That's all it does. It just straight up gets you your Stratos play. Or Shadow Mist, depending on the situation.
Right.
And because this deck is a very blind second deck,
Ooh, spicy.
3 evenly matched.
Definitely. Okay.
Because of the fact that you want to break your opponent's board as much as possible, you run this card. Actually, I run this card just because I don't like it when my opponent has advantage and it throws them totally off guard when you run into this game 1. And in all honesty, your hero deck can build you a board where you can sit on it and just be like, hey, I got rid of your board and I can still keep advantage. It's just really good.
Okay.
And then your opponent hits you with Lancia.
Exactly. But that's why we have other things to play around that. But getting to the extra deck, we run 1 Cross Crusader. I've tested a lot, and honestly, you don't really need to. At least I don't need to. I've run into a lot of situations where 1 is enough, and that's fine with me. But it's just a really good card. The only problem is that it locks you into only activating hero monster effects, which is kind of meh. But it's kind of rough. But I mean, you're running a hero deck. It's to be expected. There's the boy. Malicious Bane. He's just a good card. He's very expensive. You use him. He's a free Raigeki on legs. Can't be destroyed by battle by card effect. He's really good. He's really, really good. He gains attack for every card destroyed. Sunrise.
There's another good boy.
Because, you know, you like having boosted up attacks. Boosted up attacks are great. If your opponent tries to attack your Dark Law, and this is on board, you get the pop card. That's it. He's just really good. Lets you search Miracle Fusion, but most importantly, he chain blocks, which is great.
Yeah, chain blocks, destroy card on field, and gains attack, and search. Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
A lot of good stuff. Absolute Zero. So good.
It is.
So good.
Raigeki.
He's just wipes your opponent's board. It's just really good. If you play more water monsters in the deck, you don't have to, but if you do, he gets 500 attack for each one apart from himself.
That's actually a good idea.
And yeah. And then because people run Bird Up, people do run Bird Up here, so we do have to play against the barrier statue. You use elemental hero monster and the wind monster, aka the barrier statue or the Simorg, and then you run over the barrier statue. I play as a tech because one, it halves all of your opponent's monsters' attack and defense, which makes it easier to OTK.
Definitely.
And I mean, you run shadows. You run shadows in the deck, so you're gonna run into a situation where you make him to make OTKing easier.
Right.
That's it for the elemental heroes. Next up, the masked heroes. 2 Dark Law, mandatory.
Standard. Yep.
Standard. You cannot run the deck
So
without
good.
Dark Law. Your opponent's cards are just gonna get banished.
Macrocosmos.
They're just. It's just a one-sided macrocosmos. Your opponent is just gonna get rocked really hard by having all their stuff banished. And if they search, a single card in their hand gonna get banished, which is really good.
Yep.
You run Acid because it helps with the absolute zero plays to nuke your opponent's board.
Literally.
It's a very situational thing. He also reduces your opponent's monsters attack by 300, but it's just whatever. But he's really good. He's still really good. You run Blast because you also run Stratos, and you want to make sure that your opponent can't target your Stratos, and you just make into him, and then you still resolve your Stratos. It's really good. And then if you're going first and your opponent's going second and starting setting stuff, you can pay 500, bounce a card back that they just set back to their hand. So it's good. Trinity for the OTK, double attack, can attack 3 times, can't attack directly. There's nothing
That card's
to
funny.
say.
That card is so good.
I remember me having Super Poly and just playing that card in my Echo, and I killed my opponent because I had it.
Adoration, I run him because he only takes 2 hero monsters. You run into situations where you Super Poly for OTK, and you can make Adoration because it's just 2 hero monsters.
Right on.
No other restrictions.
And it's dark, so.
He is a dark. So he does fall under the restriction of playing Fusion Destiny, so he's really good. He can target 1 monster you control, 1 monster your opponent controls, and then he reduces that targeted monster's attack and defense by the hero monster that you target. It's okay. You don't really use it a lot, but it's whatever. This dude.
Ooh.
This dude's really good.
Dystopia.
Dystopia. So he
Dystopia's
is
really funny.
he is your usual fusion target. When you make him, you can target a level 4 or lower Destiny hero monster in your graveyard, and you can burn your opponent.
Really?
Burn
you can
your
burn your opponent.
You can burn your opponent. He helps you win in time, and it's just really good.
Win in time, huh?
I am.
Don't feel guilty.
I won't feel guilty. I used him to win in time. It's fine.
Was it 30 minutes already? Yeah.
And then you play Destiny Hero Dangerous. You don't really use his effects. You just play him for the Fusion Destiny effect. You just summon him by sending out a Destiny Hero. So Stop.
They're doing something right now.
What?
Let them finish up.
After you're done with that video.
For
Go.
sure. Alright. And then, yeah.
Look at that mad guy right there.
That mad guy. He's so
Look at that
good.
mad vibe.
Tell me in your video, please.
Oh, I'm recording you.
And then you run into Dragostapelia and Starting Venom Fusion Dragon because
Okay.
those are your super poly targets.
Okay.
This is if your opponent only controls dark monsters or your opponent has a Boro load and nothing else, and you normal summon a dark hero. You just activate or super poly, make this dude, and you got rid of a problem.
Yeah.
This dude is specifically for Dragoon
Definitely.
because one fusion monster, one dark monster. Hey, guess what? What's Anaconda? It's a dark. What's
Dragoon?
Dragoon. He's
It's a fusion.
monster.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's all you need to know.
It's perfect.
And then this is my own personal side deck. This is what I ran, and it's helped me a lot. 3 Chaos Hunter because you hate the fact that your opponent can just top deck a 1-of called by. And it's really bad. But at the same time, you also don't want your opponent to banish stuff. So like in the Eldritch matchup, they can't banish their trap cards. Like there's just other different things that you can do to keep this. It's a body too, so it kind of helps.
Yeah.
I either saw way too many
Denko
monsters or
Sekka
way too
because
Fire.
the reason why we run this is because hero monsters or the hero deck doesn't really rely on the normal summon. The normal summon is just there.
Right.
It's just there.
It's just there, huh?
Yeah, so you can just run this and you just stop back row decks.
Right.
Stop back row decks. If they don't play judgment on this thing,
Reciprocate.
that's
I
it.
love that.
That's it. They're stuck.
Yeah, maybe I'll play ABC Europe for the one.
Ooh.
Wait, no, I don't play. I'm not gonna.
Sphere mode because
Okay.
Sphere mode because Dragon Link is a thing. Having a big board is a thing. Dogmatica invoked a thing. A full board is a thing. So you
Full board
really,
is a thing. Yes.
you really do need this in your deck so that you can get rid of your opponent's problem cards and still play because you're still not relying on your normal summon for it, which is really good. And the destruction effect of Bane can kill this thing because this thing can be destroyed. It just can't be like targeted and stuff.
Okay.
We play Twin Twister because we're poor. We are poor.
What would you play instead of Twin Twisters? Let's
Lightning
see.
Storm
Lightning Storm.
immediately.
Definitely.
We are a poor mofo.
Yo, Megatins 2021.
Oh gosh. And
Is it
then
really?
Storms?
Is it really?
The set, it's the set.
and then we run 3 strike just in case your
Ooh.
opponent makes you go first.
Okay,
strike,
okay.
Strike can save you. It really can. You pay 1,500. That's it.
Negate a summon.
Negate a summon or negate a monster
Yeah.
effect. That's it.
Really good, really good.
It's really good. Yeah, that's the deck. That's the deck. I like it. I will continue to run it. Obviously, we'll make changes to it because you know the format's evolving and the format's gonna get a lot crazier with the new sets coming out later on. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. It was fun. Smile.